views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
We'll start with Community Board 1. And are you here? Community Board 1. Community Board 2.
Good morning, Madam Deputy. Happy Thursday. Happy day, everyone. Ralph Acevedo, District Manager, Community Board 2.
Okay, thank you. Love that energy. Community Board 3, are you going to do
Good
better?
morning, Madam Deputy. Good morning to all. Dr. Bruce Rivera, Community Board 3.
Okay. Community Board 4.
Good morning, Madam Deputy. This is Paul Phelps from Bronx Community Board 4. Good morning and happy Thursday to all.
All right, good morning, good morning. Community Board 5.
Good morning, Deputy Borough President and everyone. This is Ken Brown, District Manager, Board 5.
Ken, I'm enjoying your background there.
That's the USS Bronx.
I could have predicted it. Community Board 6. And Community Board 7.
Good morning, everyone. Emmanuel's present, sorry.
Thank you so much. Community Board 8.
Good morning and happy June. Laura Spalter, Chair, Community Board 8.
Thank you again. And Community Board 9.
Good morning, everyone. Loretta from Community Board 9.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. Community Board 10. Community Board 11. And last but not least, Community Board 12.
Good morning, Madam Deputy. This is Dr. Michael Bird, Chairman, Community Board 12.
Thank you.
Good morning, George from Community Board 12.
I was waiting for George. Thank you. And now to our representatives. I would Council Member Ayala.
I believe we got a wave there.
Oh, we got a wave. Okay.
Yes, Gloria Cruz.
I forgot to unmute myself. I'm sorry. Gloria Cruz from Councilmember Ayala's office.
Okay, I was wondering what was happening there.
I'm overwhelmed. I feel like I'm in a family reunion. I miss everybody.
Oh, we understand. Councilmember Denowitz. Councilmember Riley. And Councilmember Jonai. Councilmember Cabrera.
Greg Faulkner representing Councilman Cabrera. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you. Councilmember Felix. Councilmember Gibson.
Good morning, everybody. Reshma here from Councilmember Gibson office. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing well, too.
Good. Councilmember Salamanca. And again, last but not least, Councilmember Diaz Sr. Okay. That was our roll call. Again, welcoming everyone here today pursuant to Chapter 4, Section 85 and Chapter 69, Section 2706 of the New York City Charter, a joint meeting of the Bronx Borough Service Cabinet and Bronx Borough Board will take place virtually here on Thursday, June 24th, 2021, starting at 10 a.m. Just a quick note before we jump into our agenda. We have a little bit of news, a little breaking news bulletin, and we think it's exciting that we are going to be ending our virtual meetings, and we will be in each other's presence for the next meeting, and we're excited about that. The requirement for open meetings and in-person meetings is now back intact, and we will be doing that for our next meeting, and on and on and on. Should we become necessary to do something otherwise, we will obviously let you know. I'm going to give Tom an opportunity to just clarify some points, and if there are a few any questions in terms of what that might look like, what it would look like for your board, then now's the time to ask that question. So Tom, take it away.
Thank you, Deputy. Good morning, everyone. As the Deputy said, the governor has not renewed the state of emergency executive order, so the executive order which allowed for remote meetings was also expired. So I did get a note from the State Office on Open Government yesterday indicating that as of tomorrow, all all meetings that are subject to the open meetings law are now required to be in person. Now, I know there are some boards that have some questions, and Mirtha Sabio, our general counsel, has been in touch with the general counsels from the other boroughs. We've been in touch with DCAS and as well as the Office of Open Government to kind of deal with some of the nuances that may come up. Fortunately, we have a little time over the summer to get things together. I know there are some board offices who normally have meetings that there are issues with their office space. I know there is some concern about going to other locations and what type of precautions that would have to be taken at outside locations, and whether those outside locations can dictate the type of if you have vaccines, if you're not vaccinated. So there are a number of questions that are out there that we will address as we move forward. But it is something that everybody should at least begin to prepare for the fall. But remember, the meetings that are required to be in person are those that are subject to the open meetings law. So you still can do Zoom and WebEx for meetings that are not subject to the open meeting law. So if you're going to have a meeting with the DOT commissioner about an issue, you can still do that remotely. You can still do that on WebEx. You can still do that via Zoom. It's those meetings that are subject to the New York State open meetings law. So it does bring down the number of meetings that are actually affected. Obviously, community board meetings, committee meetings, ULURP public hearings, any public hearings that you as a board would hold on any issues. So again, there is fortunately some time to work on some of the issues that each individual board may have in their own communities or their office space. But we will be sending out guidance once we are given the information. Paul just asked a question about district service cabinet meetings. It's my understanding that district service cabinet meetings are not subject to the open meeting law since they are interagency meetings. So they could still be held remotely. I will confirm that for you, Paul, but that is my understanding of what DSCs are. They are interagency meetings, which are only to discuss interagency items, and I believe those are not subject to the open meetings law.
Can I just ask one additional question as it relates to committee meetings? So we have 6 committees. If you don't have quorum, technically those aren't public meetings. Are those subject to open meeting laws as well? The committee meetings that we have every month?
Committee meetings are subject to the open meeting law, yes.
Okay.
Yes, they're public meetings that anybody can attend, whether they're on the committee or not. If you're having a committee meeting, any member of the public can attend those meetings. So yes, it's subject to the open meetings law.
Okay.
Again, anybody has questions between now and over the summer, of course you can always reach out to me, and I will get you the information.
Hi. This is George at CB12. I had a question in regards to we want to keep the the option of the WebEx because it's actually been a very useful tool, and I can see applications for it during the winter time. We are, I would imagine, community boards 10, 12, and 8 are the northernmost community boards, and it takes time people to get here, traveling via train or wherever, which way. The voting requirements. We had asked the Senate to change the open meeting laws. My understanding is you have to be present at a meeting to register a vote. Is that true, or can we do that via Zoom? Or
No, if the open meetings law is now back in effect, you cannot vote remotely. The legislation that you're referring to, Laura Spalter had sent to me this morning, and the legislation that was passed by the Senate and the Assembly does not include public bodies. It includes cooperative bodies, religious institutions, and a couple of other things that Laura had sent me. And those are. It hasn't been signed by the governor yet, but those are the proposed institutions that could continue to hold their board of directors meetings remotely. The legislation does not talk about public bodies. So to answer your question, George, if you are a board member, you have to be present to vote at your location. Now, I know you have an issue at this point. I'm assuming that the COVID space is still being used, so we're not sure how long that's going to last. But if over the summer we find that that's going to be a continuous operation, then you may have to look at a space outside of your space.
how about, does that count for attendance too? That's my last question.
What do you mean, does it count as attendance? What do you mean?
Can someone participate if we have no voting? Can someone be considered present if they're participating via a WebEx, a board member?
No.
Okay.
My understanding is no, but let me get a clarification on that. If you are a board member, you have to be present. If you have the ability to, like you do, you telecast your meetings so the public is able to attend. If there are no restrictions as to the number of people that can be in your space and the public comes to your meetings, then they have to be obviously allowed to be in your meetings, just like they always do with your meetings. So in order to vote, you need to be present. Thank you, George. Again, anybody has questions, always feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. So now we'll have a update on the Penn Station access, Metro North stations, and that presentation will be by Joseph O'Donnell, Director of Public Affairs for MTA Construction and Development. Mr. O'Donnell.
Good morning, Madam Deputy, and thanks for having me this morning. Good morning, everybody. Again, I'm Joe O'Donnell, Director of Community Government Relations, Public Affairs, Stakeholder Engagement, Jack of all trades, Master of nothing for MTA Construction and Development. So I'll be giving you a brief update on the Penn Station Access Project, where we are and where we're going. So bear with me, some of the folks on this call. I know we've had some recent meetings. I haven't been with this group, this large group, as part of the Borough Board since about this time last year in the midst of COVID. So for all of you, I want to just level set where we are. And again, if you were in the recent Bronx Westchester Community Coalition meeting or the public meeting for public comment on this project on the 15th, please just bear with me for a second. As I mentioned, I met with you all as part of this board about this time last year. I think it was actually May, but at that time we were in the midst of COVID and we were continuing to advance this project behind the scenes from a design standpoint. We continued to do that to the point where we were able to complete our preliminary design on schedule. And we are now ready to advance the project further along in the process. About a month ago, or just about a month ago, the governor announced that the FTA had given us permission to publish our environmental findings documents, which opened up a public comment period, which is the June 15th meeting that I referenced. So there is a 30-day public comment period, which will expire on July the 3rd, but I'll get into that a little bit more on how some of this group either can register comments for public record, or if any of your constituents or audiences want to still comment, there still is an opportunity. I'm going to share my screen now to give you all a little bit of an overview again for you, those of you who've seen it. This is for level setting purposes, so that we're all speaking the same language with regard to this project. Can everybody see that screen?
Yep.
Great. Okay, so by way of agenda, we'll just go through a brief project overview, the environmental review process, which I just mentioned, and then community engagement from a standpoint of where we've been and what we're going to be doing in the near future, and how you can register comments. So as you know, this is a vital project. It is an equity project. This will extend Metro North service on the New Haven line from New Haven, Connecticut through Westchester and into Penn Station. There will be 4 brand new stations constructed in the Bronx at Hunts Point, Parkchester Van Nest, Morris Park, and Co-op City. Along with these new stations, there will be upgrades to Amtrak's existing Hellgate line, which will improve reliability and on-time performance for intercity rail. There will be construction of those 4 new ADA stations that I mentioned, and we will be able to transform regional connectivity. As I mentioned, the 4 stations are, you'll see in a moment, Co-op City, Morris Park, Parkchester Van Nest, and Hunts Point Station. The project will bring huge benefits to these 4 neighborhoods, which include major employment centers and vibrant residential communities. Not only does it open up these areas to attract world-class talent to come into their respective communities, but it also makes it easier for folks who live in these communities to get to Manhattan's West Side Business Center, as well as business centers in points north like Westchester and Stamford, Connecticut, to name a few. So it'll open up not only the Bronx, but points north as well as Manhattan. The project's going to deliver much needed transit options for what is presently an underserved community in the East Bronx. This will dramatically reduce travel times for folks coming in and out of the borough. It will support local and regional economies, as from an economic vitality standpoint. It will literally and figuratively bridge communities. So not only is it going to get folks from point A to point B, but in certain places like Morris Park and Parkchester Van Nest, where the communities are bisected by the train tracks, you'll literally be able to get from one side of the community to the other as a part of this project. From a sustainability standpoint, it encourages drivers to switch to train travel, reducing traffic congestion and improving air quality in a community that is already besieged by high asthma rates. I mentioned the reverse commuting opportunities. A key facet of this project, and that is sometimes underappreciated, is we're going to optimize existing infrastructure here. So this is a cost-effective transit solution. It's not like some of our other projects where we're going to have to dig a new tunnel or excavate for new stations. This is going to maximize the capacity of the existing infrastructure there. So we're going to take what is presently a 2-track railroad within a 4-track railroad footprint and optimize it. Operational and service benefits. This will not only deliver options for an underserved community in the Bronx, but it increases capacity and access points into Manhattan for Metro North. It strengthens that reliability, as I mentioned, by adding a second entry point, not only Grand Central, but now Penn Station into Manhattan. Anybody who remembers the fire in 2016, which shut down Metro North travel into New York City, this would give us another artery to get folks in and out of the city, and it connects the communities, as I mentioned, along the Hellgate line. From an economic benefit, this project represents an investment of significant capital into the local and regional economies. In the short term, the local economy will benefit from construction-related jobs and increased demand on goods and services. And from a longer-term benefit, as I mentioned earlier, it expands transportation options to the employment centers along the line in these four communities and commercial districts, as well as opening up opportunities for folks outside of those areas. Not only is this project going to benefit Metro North, but it'll also benefit Amtrak. It'll improve their on-time performance and reliability. It brings Amtrak's Hellgate line into a state of good repair, which includes the catenary system, which is the overhead power lines, and 100-year-old plus bridge structures, electrical upgrades, improved signal system, and state-of-the-art communication system, as well as significant enhancements to the stormwater management and drainage systems. Some of the key elements of this project, besides just the four stations, the project includes upgrades to essential railroad infrastructure. As you can see on this illustration here, bridges, substations, and interlockings. As part of this project, there will be 4 new ADA accessible stations, plus 4 bridge rehabilitations or replacements, over 19 miles of new and rehabilitated track, 4 new and 1 configured interlocking. We'll also reconfigure the New Rochelle Yard and modernize the signal, power, and communications infrastructure. From a design standpoint, the 4 new stations have been thoughtfully located and will be consistent with current Metro North design guidelines, which will include a canopied main entrance. As you can see in these schematics here, these are BIM models, so not the design of what the ultimate station will look like, but more the guts of what the station is going to look like. So they'll include a canopied main entrance, clear wayfinding, ADA compliant elevators, and a center island platform with sufficient length to accommodate up to 10. As you can see, we're presently in Q2 of 2021. We have just entered into, or earlier this month, entered into our public comment period as part of our environmental review process. That process, or that period of communication, accepting comments into public record, will close on July 3rd. So folks who still would like to register a comment on record can do so by that time. That doesn't mean that our dialogue stops. It just means, as far as having it on record for the federal government's evaluation of this project, if you want to have your comments or concerns or questions included in that evaluation, it needs to be done by July 3rd, because what we will do is we will take all of those comments and consolidate them with responses and submit them to the FDA, and then the FDA will evaluate the entire packages as a whole, with our hope that they will find a finding of no significant impact, meaning that despite some complications as a result of construction and some obvious impacts, we at the MTA has determined a path forward that would mitigate those impacts substantially enough that there are no significant, or what the FDA deems significant, impacts. Part of that assessment, or that technical assessment, that environmental assessment, things that were looked at are on the screen. Land use, socioeconomic conditions, community facilities. I won't run through the whole list because it's on the screen here, and you can see. And I'll provide. I've already provided it to the Borough President's office, so they'll have the actual PowerPoint, to post online for folks to review at their leisure if you want to come back and review anything. But these are the things. It's a very comprehensive and thorough review of the potential impacts. From a next step process on this NEPA process or this environmental process, we're in this public review and comment period. We're going to submit our findings and the public's comments, stakeholder comments to the FTA with the hope of achieving that FONSI or finding of no significant impact. We hope to have that in Q3 of this year. So as part of our community engagement process, as you all know, from my interaction with you last year and here, and some of the folks on this call, I've interacted with these community boards, specifically the ones along the project alignment on a more regular basis, and the elected officials in the borough president's office, certainly. But we've been involved in this process from a C&D standpoint since 2018, but public outreach on this project stretches all the way back to 1999 when this project was originally conceived. And how folks can comment for those of you on this call, or for any of the audience constituents that you have a greater than 1-to-1 reach for, there, as I mentioned, until July 3rd, so you have just a few more days, approximately a week, I guess, a little over a week, to still register comments. The EA and draft 4F evaluation are available on our project website at pennstationaccess.info. We will provide flash drives of the entire EA if anybody wanted it, or a paper copy of the executive summary. Hard copies of the complete EA are available at local repositories and available for purchase. And again, you can email any questions, concerns, or to obtain a hard copy at psaoutreach@mtacd.org. For those of you who already have comments or an opinion that you'd like to have registered into public record, you can do so by either sending that to the email that I just mentioned, psaoutreach@mtacd.org. You can go to the project website at pennstationaccess.info, where there is an automated process where you can log your complaint and upload things there. Or for those of us who are not necessarily technically inclined and you prefer snail mail, you can always mail it directly to MTA Government and Community Relations, RE, Penn Station Access EA, and that's at 2 Broadway, D17.140, New York, New York, 10004. All comments will be recorded for the record and presented to the FTA for their ultimate evaluation. And just as a reminder, again, that comment period ends on July the 3rd, so we only have a few more days to accept comments. I do want to reiterate the fact that just because that public comment period closes does not mean that our dialogue closes. For those of you, again, on this call who I've interacted with in the past, I'm entirely accessible, and we will be here for the duration of this project. When I say we, I mean myself and my community outreach staff. So we do plan that this is just the start of the dialogue. So we're excited that this is moving forward. We anticipate that if we do receive this finding of no significant impact in Q3, we have shortlisted a group of qualified design builders who we would hope to be able to award a contract to by the end of this year or Q1 next year at the latest, and get this project moving. So we're excited. We hadn't, despite COVID, we had not stopped moving, albeit behind the scenes. So it was not probably as readily apparent, but we are excited to get this project going from a construction standpoint and keep it moving overall. So with that, Madam Deputy, I turn it back over to you or to the team if there are any questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. And if there are any questions, please virtually raise your hands. And if you're on the phone, *9 to raise your hand. Chris, do you see any hands? And by the way, Mr. O'Donnell, can you unshare?
Sure.
Because then I can see folks okay, great. Any hands?
Not at the moment. Give everybody a second here, though.
Well, usually when I say thank you for the presentation and the fact that there's no questions means that everybody got all your information. And
Well, we have been out and about quite a bit lately, so I know I've spoken to some of the folks on this call already a couple of times in the last month. So I hopefully not boring you all, but hopefully it's some good information and some new information for those of you who haven't been involved in those meetings.
well, let's see. Let's see if my theory is correct, because usually those words produce a hand. Did I get a hand raised there, Chris?
No, still none.
Wow, how about
Question.
that? I'm so rarely
Oh,
wrong.
I think somebody verbally said they had a question.
Hi, Deputy President. This is Emmanuel from CB7.
Thank you so much. I didn't want to go on the record as being wrong about anything. Thank you.
No, it's just more technical. Will we be having access to that presentation?
Yeah, I've sent it to the borough president's office, but you can also email me if you need it. I can put my my contact information in the chat for everybody who needs it, and I'm happy to send it along to anybody individually if they need it.
Deputy,
Sure. Marisol will send it out. I'm
Yes.
sorry, Marisol. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was gonna say I'll send it out as soon as the meeting is over. I have the presentations from all three, so I'll share them as soon as the meeting is over.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You saved me there. But now I will now officially thank you again for the presentation, and we'll move to our next agenda item. Another update, changes to know your zone hurricane season. So this is very topical, and we'll have a presentation by Abigail Banks, Government Relations, New York City Emergency Management. Ms. Banks?
Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
We can.
Great. Thank you for having me. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly. And please let me know once you can see that.
Got it.
Awesome. So this is, there we go. Okay. So this is the Bronx evacuation zones, as well as the centers down here in the bottom, and I will zoom in a little bit for that. So thank you for having me today once again. Today, I just want to speak about the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season. So as a reminder, it begins on June 1st and runs through November 30th. And generally, the most active part is August through October, but of course, it's undeniable. Hurricanes are not very predictable, so we never know. So we want to make sure we're prepared, right? So this update came from new data from the federal government, which is updated once a decade. And now these new maps include more than 3.1 million New Yorkers living in an evacuation zone. So we're kind of going over it today so that we're encouraging our residents to go back, make sure they are in a zone, and if they are in a zone, to make sure they're updating their go bags as well as their emergency plans. So as a reminder, with the city's coastal storm plan, we have a large scale, if we were to ever have a large scale coastal storm event, particularly a hurricane, the plan is scalable in operations. So it could things like evacuations, sheltering, interim flood protection measures, logistics, donations, things like that. It's all scalable depending on what we need. So as a reminder, not only checking the website to see if you are in one of the 6 zones, but also checking to see what's your closest evacuation site, whether that site is accessible or not, and whether or not that works for your family. As I mentioned earlier, making sure you update your emergency plan and go bag. Things to have in your go bag are copies of your identification, some cash and small bills, any medications, insurance information, emergency contacts, clothing, things like that. And of course, now with COVID and anything in the future, some face coverings and hand sanitizer is something that we should also be including in there. And I know I get this question all the time. Are legal pets and service animals accepted in evacuation centers? Yes, they are. And normally an evacuation order will be issued at least 72 hours before the storm arrives. So you will have some notice, of course, before the storm. And of course, we always try to encourage people to stay with their family and friends because that will be the most comfortable situation. But if you can't, of course, you're all welcome to the evacuation shelter. And I will, like I said, I will see if I can zoom in. I may have to exit my full screen. Give me 1 second. And you are all welcome to get a copy of this and post it in your offices or wherever you feel free is better for your constituents. And yes, Marisol, I saw your email. I will send you a copy of this. So just a few additional updates. We are always encouraging everyone to sign up for our Notify NYC program to get these updates. It is now available in 14 languages as well as American Sign Language. So you could sign up in a multitude of ways, either calling 311, getting your notifications on Twitter, email, or even just the application itself. And right now we are doing presentations for those interested in having a sort of sign-up event with Notify NYC. And as the summer sort of events pick up, we are also picking up our Ready New York program. So giving out those materials, again, making that emergency plans and your go bag booklets. They're also all available online as well. And I guess my final reminder / update is if you have any concerns about losing power or basic needs, just remember to have your supply kit last you enough time. So we recommend up to 7 days, but if you know that maybe you have someone with a disability at home, any other sorts of situations, everyone of course has different situations at home, please just make sure you have enough supplies for the potential outage. And I'll stop right here to see if anyone has any questions. I will stop sharing my screen now.
Thank you for the presentation. It's always good information. And I'll ask if there are any questions from the board members. Any hands up, Chris?
Not yet.
Okay. While we're just looking for hands, I actually have one question, which is just something I'm curious about. What is the most is the thing that most people forget? In terms of preparation for emergencies?
So I don't know about forgetting necessarily, but I think the hardest part is I think writing it down, because you think, oh, I'm gonna remember it, or I have this already in this area or something like that. So I think those are the two. So I guess the two would be actually packing the bag and like putting it somewhere that's easily accessible, and then writing that information down. I'll give a little bit of my personal background. My grandmother just became a little more dependent on us. Writing all of her medications down, what they actually do, how many milligrams she takes. It's been, a change for myself, but it also kind of put into practice that actually writing it down, having it accessible with me. I'm a little more tech savvy, so I personally like to have it on my Google Doc. Any doctor asks me, hey, I can pull it up. Here you go. Here's a copy of it or whatever it may be. So I think that's the most difficult part, to get people to actually write that information down.
Interesting. Thank you. Still no hands?
We do have one now, Laura Spalter from CB8. Laura, go ahead.
If there is a problem in the home, do you still recommend calling 311 or 911? Power lines are down, things like that. We had so many issues in the hurricane last summer with people not having electricity, et cetera. Any words on that?
So usually we work closely with Con Ed. If there's ever an issue, you can always email us. Specifically, this is just for the NYSEM team at intergov@oem.nysc.gov. And we will try to put you in connection with whoever can help at the moment. But we also have our task force that go out and help as far as like Downstream Task Force and things like that, to make sure we're getting to the people that may need help in that moment, may need to get to a hospital or things like that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other hands?
I do not see any others.
Oh, wow, that's exciting. Thank you for the presentation, Ms. Banks, and I'm sure we'll have you in again in the future. We always need refreshers on this type of information, so thank you for that. Our last presentation, our next and last presentation, is an overview on emergency rental assistance, the emergency rental assistance program, and we have a presentation by, okay, I think I'm going to really assault your name, but I'm going to try it. Rad Jakub. Did I say
Very
it
well
right?
done. Yes. Thank you.
Wow. And Department of Social Services and Scott Oddwater, Bronx Works. So who knew I could get through it? Thank you. Take the floor.
Thank you. Brad, do you want to say a couple words? I also believe that the HRA administrator might be on the line. I know that he had a hard stop at 11 o'clock. Gary Jenkins.
Yep. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Madam Deputy. How are you this morning?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Nice to see you. And good morning as well to the cabinet and board members. I just wanted to briefly say some remarks in regards to the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, which is administered by the New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance. They are managing the program, the various counties across New York State. Those who opted in are participating. For New York City, we were allotted $247 million to assist New Yorkers who are in need with any rental arrears. By participating and opting in with the state, it gave us the availability to tap into the state's overall budget, which is around $800 million. So of course we took advantage and joined the state to ensure that we are being part of the larger pot so that all of New Yorkers who are eligible for this program can receive it, and helping us with applications assistance and outreach. We partner with several community-based organizations, which we are really happy with. Scott is going to go a little more in depth and from Bronx Works perspective to describe how they're outreaching to the community in the Bronx and how they're assisting applicants to apply via an online portal that the state has up and running that started on June 1st for applicants to submit their documents, or upload their documents online and submit their applications online. But as we know, some New Yorkers need assistance, so we want to make sure that we have reputable community-based organizations to assist. Is it 100% perfect? I sit here and not lie to you. It's not. We are really getting into the groove and working with our state oversight and identifying issues to ensure that they're being addressed properly and timely so that New Yorkers can avail themselves to this federal dollars, not our traditional one-shot deal, because with a one-shot deal, they apply, but then we have a repayment agreement. What's so important and wonderful about this program, there's no repayment agreement at all. They're eligible up to 12 months with 3 months prospective rent that can be paid, and that also includes utility arrears. So I'm going to stop talking so that Scott and my colleague Rad can go through the presentation, answer any questions. Unfortunately, I do have to leave at 11 o'clock, but I knew it was important and I want to be part of this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. And I think I'll leave most of this to Scott. I just wanted to chime in and correct one thing. I think New York City received a little over 600 million. Gary was talking about the first tranche, but there were 2 tranches. And the total state allotment is somewhere around 2.5 billion for the program. So the numbers are a little bit bigger. And the numbers that Gary cited were from the first tranche, which was legislated by the federal government end of last year. Anyway, thank you very much. This is an important program, so we appreciate your time. And with that, I'll pass it on to Scott to explain in greater detail how this works. Thank you.
Oops. I think you just got to
Just unmute
unmute.
yourself.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay. Now I think I'm a couple of slides into the presentation, so I have to figure out how to go back. So again, thank you very much, Madam Deputy. We very much appreciate being invited to present on this very important program. This is an attempt by the federal government to address problems, especially the housing problems created by the pandemic over the last year. And given the fact that the Bronx has been disproportionately hit by the pandemic, this is especially relevant to our constituency. So the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, or ERAP, as it's called, is, again, it's a federal program. I am not sure how to go back on with these slides, but we can circulate the information in a few minutes. But it's a temporary program. That's the first thing I think that's important for everybody to remember. These funds are not going to be available forever. It's a part of the United States Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021. It was passed into law by Congress on December 27th. Again, the allocation nationally is $25 billion. Subsequent law added an additional $21 billion. There's a version of this program in all 50 states, in nearly every city in the country with a population of more than 200,000 people. New York City, again, is receiving $644 million. The state is receiving $2.3 billion. The allocation for the Bronx is $69 million, and of that, $62 million are directly allocated for rental assistance and for assistance with utilities. Who is eligible for ERAP? Households with a area median income, or AMI, of 80% or lower. There's a particular emphasis on people who have an AMI of 50% or lower. Those individuals get priority. It's people who experience COVID-related financial hardships or have qualified for unemployment benefits. It's people who have a rent obligation at their primary residence that's overdue and have a demonstrated risk of experiencing housing instability or homelessness. And immigration status is not a factor. People who are living in the country and are undocumented are eligible for this assistance. ERAP benefits. First of all, you can get up to 12 months of rental arrears payments on or after March 13th of 2020. You can get up to 3 months of additional rental assistance if the household is expected to spend 30% or more of their gross income to pay for rent. You can get up to 12 months of electric or gas utility arrears payments if you've experienced hardship because of COVID. And again, the start date for that, it doesn't pay anything prior to March 13th, 2020. Payments are made directly to the landlord or property owner. Payments are not made directly to the tenants. Payments can also go directly to the utility company. In the Bronx, it would be Con Edison. If the landlord is difficult to locate or does not otherwise provide information needed to complete the application's funds will be held for up to 180 days to allow for sufficient time to locate the landlord and collect required information as provided to the tenant protections and maximize landlord participation. We have Jordan Dwebe on the call with us right now. Jordan works for BronxWorks. He's a housing attorney. If there are technical questions about exactly how this works, Jordan will be able to answer them after this brief presentation. This is a copy of the website, the state portal. This is where everybody applying for the assistance has to go. The website again is nysrentalhelp@otda.ny.gov. The portal, I think, for a lot of people is relatively easy to negotiate. It's less so for people who may have literacy problems or not speak English as the first language. And again, what HRA has done is in the Bronx, they've awarded BronxWorks a contract to help people complete these applications. We are partnering with Help USA, Bronx Legal Services, Wedco, Mimic, and Montefiore UBA to help forward this project. So in addition to that, HRA has also given a grant to NICA to help with applications. The final slide here is just of the website and in the telephone number, the hotline number that people can call to get assistance. The OTDA number is a statewide number. HRA's number is listed as well, ours as well. I also put NICA's number in here. I will say right now there has been an overwhelming amount of requests for this assistance. BronxWorks alone has been getting 1,000 calls a day. I will be very honest about the fact that people are having a great deal of difficulty getting through to us. We're working hard on getting a hotline number set up as quickly as possible to be able to handle the volume for this. Another thing that we're trying to do, again, given the overwhelming amount of requests for assistance, is where Jordan is conducting training for landlords, for elected official staffs, for other not-for-profit staffs on exactly how to help people with applications that may need assistance. If there's interest with this group, we're more than willing to try to set up a special training and go through the applications point by point by point. The training takes about an hour and a half. It's very detailed. The feedback that we've gotten about it has been very positive, and we do believe that it's been very helpful to people. So with that, if there's any questions, I'll do my best to try to answer them.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
This is, oh wait, I put this camera on. This is Gloria Cruz from Councilmember Ayala's office. My question is, I have a lot of people that are confused. They feel that they can apply for the HRA one as well as the ERAP, and they can get paid from both for their landlord. And then there's some people that only owe 1 or 2 months rent and feel that the ERAP program will be paid for that plus 3 months more and give them a voucher. So I was just confused.
Jordan, did you hear the question? And, I'll ask you to respond.
Yes. So, if somebody has applied for a different program, like maybe they've applied for a one-shot deal or something like that, that doesn't stop them from being able to apply for ERAP. There is somewhere in the ERAP application where they would have to say, if they had applied for something else for rental arrears, and they would hopefully have an updated rental breakdown if any payments have been issued by other programs for any rental arrears that they had accumulated during the pandemic. And if somebody literally just owes 1 month of rental arrears, they can apply for that 1 month of rental arrears as well as the three months going forward. It doesn't have to be a full 12 months of rental arrears that they have. It's just it can be up to 12 months since last week.
Okay. Yeah, I was confused because I thought that would be like double dipping, so I wasn't sure. Okay, now I know what to do going forward. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Do we have any other questions? Chris?
Ken, CB5.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Scott. It's always good to see the good work BronxWorks is doing. I have a couple of questions, please. One is, if people have gotten a permanent loss of income, say loss of job and that kind of thing, will there be a warm handoff between ERAP and FEPS? That's one question. Another question is, can you receive both rental assistance for arrearages and arrearages for utilities? And would that be 12 months for both?
So Ken, thank you for the questions. So one of the things that we're trying very hard to do is, with FEPS applications, much of that is handled by Homebase. And so 2 of the 3 home-based providers for the Bronx are actually part of our collaborative. In addition, we're also working with Bronx Legal Services, which is another group that is familiar with the application process for the subsidy. So the ERAP funding that we've gotten through this special HRA program is specific to ERAP. We will be able to make internal referrals to our home-based programs for those that need it. Once the eviction moratorium is lifted, for people who are coming in and requesting ERAP assistance, we're also setting ourselves up so that we can make referrals to Bronx Legal Services or some entity that represents people in housing court. One of the things that's supposed to happen with ERAP is there's supposed to be communication between the state and the housing court, because part of the requirement, you can't persist in trying to evict somebody who's applied for ERAP benefits. So we're aware that, I'm very familiar with how things work in housing court, and that there's, we're not careful, it could be communication breakdown, and we're really thinking hard and planning for how we're going to handle these applications once the eviction moratorium is lifted. So, Brad, I don't know whether you want to add anything to that, or Jordan.
I think it addresses the first question very well. I think the second question was about, can our residents, applicants receive both rent arrears and utility arrears up to 12 months? And the answer is yes. The caveat is the sequence. An applicant has to qualify for the rent arrears assistance before they can be considered and qualify for the utility arrears assistance. So you can't be eligible for just utilities but not rent. But if you're eligible for rent, you can also be considered and determined eligible for utility arrears assistance as well.
Yeah, no, that's great, guys. Thank you. And I'm sorry, I remember the other question I had. Just like right to counsel, are there expectations or instructions from the bench that the judge will deliver to defendants once housing court opens up about referring to ERAP?
George, I
So,
think that's your question.
so I do know that the court has a whole page on their website about ERAP. Now, is a judge going to say in every instance to somebody in front of them that there is this ERAP program available? I'm not sure if there's that requirement, but I believe that the court is letting folks know that there are options. I know, even pre-ERAP, somebody came into housing court, there was an expectation that they would be referred to either somebody at a table in housing court as far as a legal service provider, or somebody from HRA that could advocate on a one-shot deal or on other programs as far as that goes. So I think that something similar will be happening with ERAP as well. And this is under the assumption that there's still funds left in ERAP by the time housing court reopens. There's been over 100,000 applications.
Thank you.
And to build on Jordan's answer, the Office of Court Administration also recently, I think sometime last week, sent I believe it was like a page-and-a-half mailer to all residents with a pending eviction case to inform them about ERAP and the protections it bestows. And to Jordan's point, that I believe at every hearing there is either a legal services representation and or a representation from someone from our Homelessness Prevention Administration division, and one of their jobs nowadays is to flag ERAP and again explain the benefits. So yeah, we are trying at multiple levels to communicate the message to these consumers.
Okay.
There was a question about flyers or media assets. I know that HRA is working really hard on that right now. There's information that's been posted on the OTDA website, on the HRA website about it. HRA has actually sent us some flyers to distribute. So there is some information on that. Brad, are there links or anything of that nature? HRA can share about the regarding this question.
Absolutely. I believe on our ERAP webpage, I'm Googling it as we speak. Yes, on the bottom of it, so the webpage, and I'll share the link in a chat room shortly. It's a few short paragraphs and bullets explaining the program, the priority groups for the first 30 days, the income limits. Then we have a section that lists all our community-based organization partners by Borough, their links to their websites and their hotlines. And below that, we have 3 documents. There's a little palm card for landlords, a one-page flyer that focuses on tenants, and a tenant pound card, which I haven't seen yet, but it's there, and it's there in all the local law languages. So I'll share the link via chat room shortly. And those are the HRA materials. OTDA likewise has a website, which I will look for and share subsequently. And they have their own version of a one-page flyer that you could use as well.
Okay. Any other questions? Chris, do you see any hands up?
Reshma just raised her hand. So Reshma, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. I just have a brief question. I don't know if you covered this, but can you just go over briefly the timeline? So if an applicant puts in an application, how long does it take for that application to go through? And then if that application goes through, how long does it take for them to get funds?
Right. From what we're understanding from the state, and maybe Brad or Jordan can answer this question better than I can, I think it takes, the state is saying between 4 and 6 weeks, if my memory is correct. Where some applicants are beginning to receive notification that there's problems with their applications or there's additional information that's required. There's certain issues with this. One of the things, if an applicant gets rejected or pended for some reason, the notifications are going out only to the tenant via email. So for people who have negotiating email, we're a little worried that they won't get notified or won't understand what the notification means. Where, we would like is for applications that we help you with, that if, something is wrong with it or there's additional questions about it, that we get notified. And, so there's a few things like that that we're working on, and we're hoping that the state will. Brad, would you have any more to add on that?
No, they did say it's on their website, 4 to 6 weeks to process the applications. I think it's worth noting that the state law has mandated that for the first 30 days, the state does a fairly extensive prioritization. So it is conceivable it could take a little bit longer initially, although we've heard that initial payments should start coming out by the end of the month. So.
Hi, it's Gary. I'm joining via car. I would say also, Scott, that you also are informing folks who visit BronxWorks that if they have any issues or concern, they can reach back out to BronxWorks for assistance. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. And again, I saw the first state response this morning, actually, for somebody who had some problem with their application with one of our partners. It wasn't something that we did, but the tenant in that case actually forwarded the directive they got from the state to the person that helped them with the application to try to figure out, how to respond to it. So people are beginning to get notified. Jordan, I don't know whether you've seen any of those notifications yet. But it's a new program. It's complicated. There's going to be some things, that need to be tweaked.
Yes, just going on with that. It seems that the notifications are going, directly to the tenant and not necessarily to whoever assisted with the application. So it's kind of a thing where some folks are probably going to fall through the cracks if it's only going to the tenant, which is what it seems right now. That may be something that changes. But there's a few different ways for tenants for the actual applicant to be notified. They can select email, text, or through the mail. But right now there's a place for community-based organizations or whoever assisted with the application to put their information in, and also even for emergency contact. But so far, it seems that the only notifications for additional documents being needed is just going directly to the app.
All right, Deputy, I do not see any other hands raised.
Okay. Just if I could add one more thing, if you get complaints from constituents about this, please let us know. We have an email address, erap@bronxworks.org. Again, that's erap@bronxworks.org. Please immediately send an email to us about that. We'll try to get back to you as quickly as possible. We've already we've heard from some of your offices already. We want to be as responsive as we possibly can. So thank you again.
And can you put that email address in the chat? And if someone can put that in the chat, just for those of us here, and and then they can just pick it up from there and reach out if what. Thank you. Okay. No other hands, Chris? No. Okay. Well, wow, and a very informative meeting. 3 great presentations. We want to thank the Department of Social Services and BronxWorks for their presentation. Thank you for this. This is a lot of information and certainly a lot of useful information as well. This when we come to the part of our meeting where we have announcements. And so we give an opportunity for some of our agencies that are also in attendance to speak up if they have anything that they would like to make a very quick, brief statement about. We'll give you that opportunity. But as everyone prepares, I would like to just say that the borough president is having today, in conjunction with Councilmember Jonai and other sponsors, we are having our Bronx Salutes America fireworks at Orchard Beach. So, the world is opening up. New York City is opening up, and the Bronx is opening up as well. We're so happy to be, in a position to meet with each other for our next meeting. And we will, in that way, celebrate today, our country. We like to be one of the first fireworks displays honoring our country, and we will have that today at Orchard Beach. So if you have an opportunity to come, please come. If you've never seen it before, if you've never had this experience, it is a wonderful experience. You can walk the Bronx Riviera, as the borough president refers to the Orchard Beach promenade, and you'll see all the wonderful things to come in that location, and we will have an opportunity to see the fireworks. I'm a kid at heart, and I love fireworks, so I'm going to be there, and I hope you will be too. And are there any announcements? Chris, any hands?
Yeah, so Michael Burke first. Michael, go ahead.
Thank you. This question is for Dr. Keck, and this is not an announcement, but this is, I think Madam Deputy asked for questions, and it's not pertaining to that, but this is pertaining to the vaccination rate. Dr. Keck, can you have a breakdown of the vaccination rates in the Bronx in particular?
I do not at this moment, but that is so easy to find if you actually, anyone can. And you just go to the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene website and they give you live information. There's a zip code map there, and you can hover your mouse over your zip code and it gives you the vaccination rates for either all adults or everyone, children and adults, for dose number 1 and dose number 2, fully vaccinated individuals. And I can enter that as well in the chat.
I see it in the chat. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd just like to add at CB5, every Wednesday we publish those statistics for the zip codes covering us. So join our mailing list.
Okay. Any other announcements?
Yeah, there's a few other hands I saw raised. Dr. Bruce Rivera, you're next. Go ahead.
Madam Deputy, fellow board members, friends, I'd like to take this opportunity to invite you to our gun buyback program that we're hosting at Christ Church. If there ever was a time to work together to help end gun violence, now is the time. I'm sure that many of you have had the opportunity to witness the brazen crime that occurred several days ago in the middle of the day, committed by a mass perpetrator who was shooting at his intended target in the midst of 2 children, who, thank God, had narrowly escaped harm, but will be scarred for life by the trauma. So I think I would echo probably your sentiments by saying enough is enough. So we want to invite you and your respective communities, and if you would widely distribute this information, I would be most grateful. Again, it's the New York City Gun Buyback Program, and we'll be hosting it at Christ Church on Saturday, June the 26th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So if you haven't gotten a flyer, we will ensure that one is directed to your attention. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And I'm just going to suggest that you send that flyer directly to Marisol, and then we will get that out ASAP.
Thank you.
Just so everyone has that. Next hand, Chris.
Yep, I just see one more. Jermaine Williams had raised his hand, so Jermaine, go ahead.
Hey, good morning again, everyone. It was pretty much an interesting meeting because Gary, thank you for, and Scott kind of took one of my notifications, but it's perfectly well. We all work together, so it's a great thing. So one thing I will touch on is that as we transitioning to our summer season, we also our air conditioner component is now open. I pretty much been saying this for like the last couple of months, but just want to still reiterate that this is a program that's issued for individuals who have medical conditions that's exacerbated by extreme heat. And if they need an air conditioner, they can fill out an application, submit supporting documentation, and we'll actually put them in a list for getting the air conditioner. The one thing about this program is as supplies last, first come, first serve. So in the chat, I did put my I don't know if the hyperlink open, but if people have a problem with the application that's fillable online, that they can send me an email and I'll gladly forward it to them. And I believe this is just a way to fill out the application a lot faster, especially if you have individuals doing it for family members, friends, or loved ones. It's just something to make it a little streamlined. And I also will attach, I'm sorry, also attach the person that you can send the application to for the faster process. Outside of that, the one thing I will push again is that the ERAP is a great program. Please keep in mind the most important thing for me would be is that this is a way for individuals to get help with back rent without having to pay it back. Because again, when you sign up with HRA, one-shot deals, you do have to sign a repayment agreement. And some people kind of feel funny about doing it from that point. But this is a great opportunity to get, financial help during this time while while this fund is there, and making a transition a lot smoother going forward. So I wish everybody a great summer. Continue to stay safe. Wear that mask. And if you didn't get vaccinated, just get vaccinated. I did. And take care, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Is that our last hand?
I see one more. Michael Sharp raised his
Okay.
hand.
Mr. Sharp?
Let me unmute. Thank you. Just one brief thought. I wanted to actually thank the members of the community board. Many of you have been very flexible in reaching back out to me to do outreach events in your communities. We've been doing some things, trying some things that are new, and they're starting off on a small level, but I think it has potential for the future. There's going to be a number of issues coming to your community that you may want to do outreach for in the months to come. As the rent freeze, revoke moratorium ends, and there are other property tax things or concerns that may come about when they ever institute the lien sale again. These are all things that your community is going to want to know about. We'll be here to help work with you, we hope. The outreach team is smaller now, but please continue to reach out if there are ways that we can assist. And as well, just for now, get the message about rent freeze renewals in your community. When they lose this benefit, their rent is going to raise to the legal rent, and there'll be arrears that they have to deal with. So continue to do that. I really appreciate those that have sort of jumped in and have done a joint outreach with us this summer. This summer. And I just one question, is this the last meeting until the fall, or will you have this meeting ongoing for July and August? I may have missed this earlier.
No, we will have a meeting next month.
Okay, all right. So, but thank all of you and continue to do the outreach about these benefits in your communities. We thank you.
Thank you. As always, thank you. Any other hands?
Nope, that is it.
Okay. Well, again, we thank all our presenters, excellent information for ourselves and the communities we serve. I want to thank our community board and council representatives. Again, as always, thank you for attending. Thank you for being here, and thank you for doing everything that you do in your respective communities. I expect to see everyone this evening at the fireworks display. And to everyone, have a great evening. Have a great summer. We're back, so we'll see you in person next month. Have a great day. Bye bye.